Hey guys, welcome to Walsh Weekly. So this week I am talking to Jayden Bennet. He's a photographer from Auckland, New Zealand. He does sort of like I guess fashion and style shoots of models, sort of that kind of thing. It's like I didn't know much about it, but I date this girl and she does this kind of stuff, and it's sort of what she wants to do. So yeah, that's how I know about this, and that's how I know Jayden. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's very orientated around fashion, photography, shooting, creativity, all that kind of stuff. So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, then you'll enjoy this episode. Thank you guys very much for listening. Have a good day.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.
Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than
Everybody has time. Stop watching Lost.
I love what I do, and that's why I'm doing what I love.
Hey guys, welcome to Walsh Weekly. So this week I'm with Jayden Bennet. Jayden, you are a photographer from Auckland, New Zealand, doing sort of fashion style shoots. How did you get into this? How did this all start?
So it sort of came out of a breakup, a bit morbid, I know, but so it's just kind of that I had so much free time.
Yeah.
So I kind of just wanted to fill it up. And I had like a really just crappy camera. It was like the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But I was just taking random pictures, and then my dad gave me his old film camera, like 35mm film.
Yeah.
And so I started that back up. It still worked after like 40 years, however old it is.
Yeah.
And then just started taking pictures from there. And I loved it. I still shoot film today, but I kind of just sold a whole bunch of my stuff and bought a digital one and really got to where I am now, just really putting myself out there as much as I can. A lot of networking with my friends, just like meeting heaps of new people. I owe it a lot to my parents and my friends, just giving me the confidence, encourage ideas, obviously. Me and my friends share models if we can, or give each other ideas, just really help each other out that. Networking's the major thing with my story, I think.
Yeah, and sort of help each other on the way, help each other meet new people, and sort of get new connections. How do you go about sort of finding a model or finding someone to shoot with, or just sort of beginning that process of a new shoot?
So I started just with my friends. I think that's the most thing, because I've gone to a lot of modeling agencies before I started, and a lot of them aren't okay with working with people who haven't worked with models before. Yeah. And they're kind of iffy about it. So I started with a lot of just my friends, just asking people in church or just whatever. Yeah. In school, just people just starting out like that, practicing heaps, and then once you've filled your portfolio up a bit, you've started getting a lot better. I started going to Red 11, in models, unique management.
Oh yeah.
And we just kind of do that. Just email the models directly, because that's the best way. Because especially with Red 11, they're quite hard to get hold of. So it's best really contact these models directly. Yeah. But that's how I started pretty much.
Yeah. Do you find how do you approach it differently if you are working with, say, a model that you think they've done a lot and they've got a lot of experience, or they're with a really good agency? How do you approach that differently than if you're just with your friend, or you're just with some person that you know?
I have worked with a few of those before. It's kind of scary, to be honest, because you really want to prove yourself. Yeah. Basically, I just make myself look like the best photographer in the world. Hey, I shoot film, which I know a lot of people do, so that's kind of quite interesting to quite a few people who have that film. It's really different and interesting. It always comes out really nicely too. Yeah. And just show them your work, even if you haven't posted some of it. Just show them your most popular work, that sort of thing, and then just really talk yourself up, and it really gets their attention, because they want someone who knows what they're doing, who's good at it, who's going to give them good content, obviously. But I've worked with a few of those, and you kind of just really have to be confident and really put yourself out there. Is the main thing.
How do you traverse? Because I know for myself, when I'm pitching people that I respect and that it's scary for me to talk to them. I find it hard judging the line between being cocky and promoting myself in the right way and showing the benefits for them of collaborating with me. How do you sort of go about doing that?
Yeah, definitely. It's I think there's a fine line between the two. Just say I'm a really avid photographer. I really like doing this work. I reckon we'll both benefit a lot from working together, and just kind of talk about your own style without not being hey, I'm a really good photographer. I think you just be hey, I've got a cool style, you've got a cool style, I'd really think we would work together quite well. That's how I kind of tell people, I'm like, if I find someone vintage, because that's what I like to go for. I'll just say that, hey, I can do quite vintage stuff with my film, and I've got quite a vintage style with my digital anyway, so I reckon it'll work together, work well together like that sort of thing.
How, like, because I know for myself, every time I do talk to someone who I know scares me a lot, like one of my previous interviews with Tim Wilson, that like he's on like New Zealand TV, and he's like it's scary to like work with people like that. Do you find every time you do like work with someone that sort of scares you, it does make you like progress a lot more than just like a normal shoot with your friend?
Oh, definitely, yeah, because I really try to push myself as much as I can. I've worked with how many? I think like 3 models that are quite out there and quite big, and they were really impressed with my stuff in the end, which was really great. But I really do like just try to push myself as much as I can. I'll go on Pinterest or Instagram and find the same hashtags or whatever, just as the style that I'm going for, like usually city or beach, whatever, whatever the case is. And just really find as much inspiration as I can. When I do meet up with them, I ask them what they want out of it, like if they see any cool ideas when we're walking around, for them to point it out, because I like them to have quite a lot of activity in the shoot as well.
How do you like when actually doing the shoot? Because if you don't know, I date Layla, so I know you did a shoot with her a while ago, and like I don't know basically the basics of it. Like, how do you, when you are doing a shoot with someone, how do you go and pick the style and pick sort of the place you're going to shoot and all that kind of stuff? Is it like just sort of random ideas and then you sort of string it together along the way, or is it sort of like themes, or how does that work?
I kind of look at the model and I just kind of like going on their skin tone, their hair color, all that sort of thing, just how their face looks, and kind of just base it on ideas that like, or backgrounds that would look quite good with them. So in the case of Layla, she's got a really defined like chin line, like it's really defined, and so that was really different for me to work with. So I was like either thinking city or just like rose gardens, and that's what I went for in the end, and it worked out really well.
I think those ones turned out really good.
Yeah, thanks, man. I kind of wing it sometimes. I mean, I'll go into the city and then I'll shoot them, and I'm like, hey, this isn't really working out, so then I'll drive to the beach instead. Because I don't mind driving around. That's basically with my shoots. I kind of just I choose what I think is best with them, and then I'll walk around the area. Like I'll walk up and down the beach, or like through all the side roads of the city. And then if it doesn't work out, I'll move locations. So it's like not too much of a big deal, because usually I set my shoots for quite a long time, so I have that long space of time.
How do you know when it's not like working out, or when it's just like things aren't just sort of the pieces don't fit together, and like you know that you just need to switch it up? How do you know when you are at that point?
I'll kind of like, I'll take the pictures and then I'll look back at them and then just kind of scroll through them, and if they're really not what my vision was, then I'll just be like, this is really not working out, so I'll try to get them to change it up first with an outfit or pose or whatever, and then from there I'll just change the location or whatever the case may be. Just that sort of thing. I think just having that open mind.
And right now you're working with mainly people, like it's sort of similar to development, like you're just sort of mainly building your portfolio, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So I started with just doing like landscape stuff, but that was like incredibly boring for me. I know it's like really, it's amazing for other people, but for me it just wasn't my thing. So then I just started getting people and just really building up my portfolio as much as I could. And second of all, I really do enjoy it, because it's like, it's not my profession, it's still just a hobby at the moment. So I kind of just like do it on the side to keep my mind away from uni and whatever else. And then from there, I'd really love to make a job out of it, going to weddings or anything like that. But just building up a portfolio and getting better as I go, because that's the main thing, is like, the more you do it, the better you get. So
just sort of trying to get out that like also quality, but also the quantity of just like continuously pumping out content that's like not even just for like people to view, but just so you improve every time, sort of.
Definitely, because I'll just I'll make sure I'm shooting each week. Like I like to do about 2 shoots a week. I've tried to cut it down a bit more now because of exams, but usually people say about that. and it just really like I just make sure that I'm always pushing myself, even if it scares me a lot. Like the location or the model was very different. I'll still just push myself because I know that's how I get better. And like if I work with someone who's got a really different skin tone, which I had before, it's really hard for me to edit in the end, and so that really pushes me and gets me to a place that I've never been.
Yeah. How do you know when it's like you're sort of, you know, like when do you know it was the right time to sort of step it up to models and agencies instead of just friends and like all that kind of stuff, or do you just sort of approach people and sort of hope for the best? Because for myself, like when I approach these people, I'm trying to sort of eventually just step it up and get people that I know will be like great to talk to and have and bring value and sort of know all these things, and then also sort of step it up every time. Like how do you know when it's time to sort of go to the next level?
So with my friends, I just started with them for a bit. I did how many shoots? I started with my friend who's a model anyway, and she's really good. She's like incredibly talented. She always helps me out. And so that really helped my portfolio out anyway, just to have someone who's so natural. And then I just started asking other friends who aren't normally models, and that kind of pushed me to like help them pose, and like that pushed me a bit further in my work. And then through my other friends, they actually gave me a couple models that actually needed work, so that really helped me out because they wanted work anyway, and like they could see my portfolio, which wasn't very big, but big enough for them to see what my work was like. And so that started building it up, and then from there I started really like stepping out and asking my own models, asking like a lot bigger models, and just like you said before, trying to like make myself look good, so then they'll like be like, oh yeah, cool, like totally, we'll work together.
How do you, like, ever since you started this, do you know, like, how has your sort of work ethic changed? Because I don't follow too many photographers, but like I noticed that you are pumping out a lot of shoots that are good quality, and they're not like, none of them seem really rushed. Like I noticed the other photographers that I see, this is why I really wanted to get you on, because the work that you do, it's all like high quality, and it all sort of, I guess it all has very good, I guess the word is aesthetics, like, you know, it works very well together. But how do you how has your sort of work ethic changed ever since you started this project?
Definitely like pushing it, because I mean I was so lazy before, thinking back, like I couldn't wait for the next day off, but now like I can't have a day off, or like I just get too like down and just I get real lazy, so I love to have that like every single day I'm doing something. So I plan shoots for every single day off, so it's really pushed me to just work a lot harder. I hate like staying in bed. I like to wake up early, go to sleep late, you know. But yeah, definitely like I used to just, well, I still do a lot of shoots, but I make sure that they're spaced out, because one week I did I think like 4 shoots in a week, and I just found by the end of the week my like creativity and style was just really lacking. Because I was just pushing it too hard. And I just was doing the shoots just for the hell of it, not actually like doing it because I loved it. So I started to slow it down just to about 2 a week, and then from there I really like thought about, I had those few days to think about the idea, like plan it out, just have that time to like relax and step back and then get back into it. So I kind of had to take that like week break and then get back into it. But yeah, it's definitely like not to push yourself too hard, because you hit that creative block, and that's the worst thing, because I've done it about 2 times now, hit that creative wall, and it's just the worst thing ever, because it just like stops all creativity, and you look at your photos and you're like, these are terrible, like what have I done? And you just waste shoots that you could have turned out really, really well, you know?
Because I definitely find for myself, like if I bang out like 3 podcasts within like 2 days, it's like the first one, maybe that one's really good, but then the next 2, I get lazy, and like I don't sort of, I feel like I'm just having a conversation, not like I'm actually recording, and not like actually sort of putting effort in. Like,
yeah, definitely.
How do you find the balance between, because you said you go to uni and I think you also work, right? Like how do you find that balance between all those things and also keeping progressing in this?
I'm still finding it, to be honest. I don't think anybody's found like that perfect balance, you know, but I don't know. So I've got work on Monday and Tuesday. I work as a vet nurse, like normally that's my profession, so I do that, and then I have uni Thursday, Friday, and then I have another job Saturday, and then church all day on Sunday, and then Wednesday is my only day off, but I use that for shoots anyway. So finding that balance is really hard, because I have a lot of assignments also, so I make sure that I my work days are just for work. So if I'm working at the clinic on Monday, Tuesday, it's just that, and then I can also do my uni work on those days as well, because it's obviously the same thing. So I can do those assignments on those days, and then Wednesday I just focus on my photography, and I just have that focus on that, because then my creativity is focused on that. Thursday, Friday obviously is just all of uni, and then Saturday is just my normal 9 to 5 other job. So on that day I'll plan shoots, I'll do whatever else, I'll just take a step back if I need it. And then Sunday church, I'll do a shoot on Sundays as well normally, but as long as I'm feeling okay all up to it, I don't I'll make sure that I'm not pushing myself at that point. But it's really just making sure that I'm on top of it. I'll take a step back at the end of the week, make sure everything's in the right place, my assignments are up to date, everything else, just to make sure that time is going well. And if it's not, then I have to reassess different areas and that sort of thing,
sort of figuring out when you need to just relax and just take a break.
Yeah, definitely. Because I need a lot of that usually.
I don't know, I feel like back when I used to do blog posts, I would just try and smash them out when I wasn't feeling it at all, and the work I was turning out was it was not very good at all. And I found now that I'm when I am doing it, I'm enjoying it, so it's not it doesn't become a grind. Do you find say when you're editing photos, or you're actually doing a photo shoot, when it gets to the point where it feels like work and where you're not enjoying it and sort of your creativity starts to drop, how do you sort of deal with that?
So that happens quite a bit. I'll do a whole shoot, and then I've got 1,000+ photos to edit. And I just sit down and it doesn't it feels like a job. It feels like I have to actually sit down and properly do this, and it annoys me because sometimes I don't like editing because it just pushes me too far. And it just gets annoying. It feels that's when it feels like a job. So I'll put the photos on hold because there's really no rush for them. I mean, the models are usually totally fine with me waiting a week to edit them, but I'm usually okay with a couple of days with getting them out. But it's just making sure that you're not pushing yourself to the point where you're hitting that creative block again. You're just making sure that you're doing it because you're enjoying it, not because you have to do it. That's the worst part, is when I do get asked to do some shoots for other people, and then if I'm really not up to it, I'll say no, or I'll just postpone it for a little while, just because I don't want to hit that block and just do it because I have to, or someone asked,
Because definitely for me, there's people will never ask me oh, can I come on the podcast? It's just not something people really ask. But it's I find if I've booked a bunch in advance and then I just sort of smash them out, it just completely diminishes my quality, I guess. Would you say this has sort of made you change your whole mindset, I guess, about life and about sort of your vision for the next 5 years of your life, sort of?
I think so. It's still sorting that out, obviously, because the uni's not mine and all that sort of thing. But kind of just making sure that you're doing things because you want to, and doing things that really truly make you happy. Because there's a lot of times where you're just sad and you're not doing things because you enjoy them. You're doing a terrible job, and you need those hobbies to take away from that bad part of the week, and just making sure that you're not turning your hobbies into work, especially, that's what I maintain, what I try to maintain a lot, is not turning that into a job, not making it into a grind where I'm just I have to do these photos, I have to do another shoot, I'm actually sitting down, I'm really enjoying it, and when I do ask a lot of models, they do, it's nice because a lot of them recognize me now and they're oh yeah, I didn't want to ask because I was too nervous, so they waited for me to ask, and it's just nice to have that. And a lot of the people I meet are really great people too, which makes it a whole lot more enjoyable, when you just get those models or other people where just they're just not nice people, and it sucks to work with them. They just can't hold a conversation or anything. It's just nice to have that nice work environment and a hobby,
I definitely find if I come on here and I'm talking to someone and they it feels like they don't want to be here, then it just sort of diminishes the quality of everything, and I'm it makes me not enjoy it. But when someone comes on and they're they don't give cold answers and they actually sort of they hold the conversation, I guess that makes me enjoy it, and sort of the next podcast, it makes me look forward to the next one as well. So it's I definitely agree with that. When it comes to the differences between shooting with a girl and shooting with a boy, do you sort of approach that differently?
Not really. Like, the main thing is making sure they're really comfortable. Sorry. Because you can definitely see it in the photos. Like, if they're super uncomfortable, I take the photos to my home at the end, and like I edit them. You can definitely tell how uncomfortable they look, and it just ruins the whole photo because you're like, that looks atrocious, you know. But no, it's definitely the same thing because they're both just like, a lot of people do ask that. I've started to work with males a lot more recently because I just needed to practice posing them and working with them more because they are very, very different to females in the way they pose. But, you know, they're both just people, and like most of the time they're really like just really natural and really easy to work with anyway. But it's pretty much just body type and just making sure that you're getting that posing right because recently, like, my last 4 shoots I think have been males, so I've just like been making sure I'm learning how to pose them and that sort of thing. But it's really like quite difficult in that area. It's mainly where you go to like Pinterest and look at that sort of thing because that's the way you get inspiration, and you just learn off other people but not copy, because that's the worst thing is when you try to copy an inspiration, it never works because you've got your own style. You need to stick to that. Just like even get them to pose in just weird ways, because sometimes that works out incredible. Like some photographers I watch are incredible because they just make them pose in just the most weird ways, but they turn out incredible because it's just amazing how they do that, you know. It's not normally how someone would stand or sit or whatever, but it just works out really well.
Sort of just like looks unique, or just like sort of ends up being like starts off as a weird pose but ends up looking great on camera.
And it's sort of like one of my main inspirations, Blue on Instagram. He does a lot of like erotic stuff. It's not nude photography, but it's just the way that they pose. And a lot of the ways they stand is just really interesting. It's just he puts them in situations and poses that normally you wouldn't be in. And it just makes for a really beautiful aesthetic look. And just makes it different, because that's what you want with photography. You don't want to just be the same as everyone else. You want it to stand out and be different and unique. That's how you get out there, you know, like it's being different to everyone else. So it's that main thing of just finding your own style, finding how to pose that person, just being completely different. Like I like to use people who influence me just for like a bit of inspiration, but I never copy them because it just makes your work turn out so genuine and not real and not your own. So you really just have to like look at this stuff. Hey, that's cool. How can I implement that into my own style? And then go from there pretty much.
How do you sort of gauge it between copying and sort of being different? Like, how do you be different and take inspiration from those people without crossing the line into copying? Like, how do you cross that gap?
So I do a lot of shoots out west, like Pihar and Bethel's and that sort of thing. So I'll look at photographers like my inspirations who go to beaches as well, and then I'll go to a similar spot, but like the problem is not going to the exact same spot. And obviously a lot of the photographers I follow are in New Zealand, so it's kind of hard to do that, but I'll just try and get a similar background and then just pose the model like in the same picture that they have. And then from there, just find my own inspiration and not keep going back to that same photo, because that's where the copying comes from, is looking at the photo and say, I'll pose exactly like this. I'll kind of just look at the photo before the shoot and then get to the spot. And then from there, that's where my inspiration comes, because I'm in the spot, I've got the model, and then I can do my own thing completely, you know?
How do you like when you're at the spot and like you're about to shoot, how do you sort of go from there?
It's kind of hard. I kind of just like walk up and down the beach or like through the side streets, and I'll just like, and the model will be walking next to me obviously, and we'll just be talking, and then I'll just look around and then compare the colors of what the model's wearing. Sometimes I'll bring multiple outfits, but sometimes I like them to just have one. And I'll just compare the colors of, you know, where we're going to what they're wearing, their outfit. Like with the beach, it's obviously very easy because it's just the sand and the sky and the sea. But then with the city, like Parnell, for example, there's so many different houses with really interesting colours, and so you just really have to work off that, and that's where the inspiration comes from. Just walking up and down, looking what looks cool. You're like, hey, that looks cool. Getting the model to stand there, see what it looks like, taking a couple pictures and then going from there pretty much. And that's where the inspiration comes from, is just taking the pictures. Sometimes you'll be walking up and down, you'll be like, I found no inspiration. But when you just get the model standing somewhere random and then just take the pictures, that's where it comes from, because then you get to actually see it on the camera and in an image, and then that's where it starts.
Yeah. How, like, going forward, how are you sort of looking at the transition from going from doing free photography into like paid stuff and sort of making it more of an income earner? Like, how are you sort of planning on making that transition?
So I'll probably start with like weddings, and I think that's where the main thing is, especially with wedding season coming up fairly soon. Just going into that and then doing maybe just interning with a couple other wedding photographers. And just seeing how they work, obviously, because I've never shot a wedding before, so it'll be interesting for me, something different. So I'll work with them a couple times, fill out my portfolio, so then people can actually see what they're going to get from a wedding, because they can't judge it from my work at the moment. And then from there, just do a couple free shoots, because that's how you start, obviously, because you don't know what's going to come out. And then it helps the couple anyway, because they have me as a free photographer and then another paid one if they can. And then from there, just keep going upwards, basically. Just work until you think you're well enough, and don't be too harsh is the main thing. Like, you can be really good, and a lot of people don't see that. Is they judge their stuff way too hard, and really like, you're better than you think you are. And a lot of people with weddings, they just want a picture of their wedding. They don't want something super fancy with all these edits and all that sort of thing. They just want the picture, and then from there, just like figure out how much everyone else charges, and then go from there pretty much.
What's like, because I actually had someone on the podcast, it was like episode like 12 or something, and they were a wedding photographer, but they sort of did other like sort of, I guess, travel vloggy stuff. I think they're like a videographer, I don't really know the terms for it, but they said something about weddings being like not regarded that highly in like the photography thing, but they went on to say like they themselves get so much joy out of doing wedding photography, and sort of they find there's so many different ways to do it instead of just like blindly filming a wedding.
So it's just a thing that, like, it's wedding photography is done so much. Like, every photographer you'll talk to is like pretty much done a wedding, I'm pretty sure, like, because that's where you get started, so it's just such, like, it's not an amazing thing. You're like, hey, I'm a wedding photographer, it's such a normal thing. But then I think the joy is just seeing everyone so happy and just being in that really nice atmosphere, and then being able to like and it's just being able to, like, especially if you enjoy photography, it's just being there and doing what you love also. So it's just that really nice atmosphere to be in. And then just giving them the pictures afterwards, and then them being so happy with that is really nice for any photographer, giving the photos back to the model or whatever at the end of the day after you've edited them. And people just love them, and you just feel so good because you're like, I gave them this sort of thing.
What would you say if someone was looking to start something like this, or start a creative project, particularly in photography? Like, they just wanted to start being a photographer. What would you say should their first steps really be?
Just like anything can take pictures. Like, honestly, you don't need the best camera ever. Like, my motto's always been, it's about the skill, not the gear. Like, I've got a very, very basic camera, but it does just as good photos as anybody else, because at the end of the day, like, you can go home and edit them to make them look really amazing. So it's mainly just like, even just use your phone. A lot of people, you just use their iPhones or whatever, and they come out with amazing photos, So just anything that can take a picture, and then just start. Like, use your friends, your family, your pets, whatever. Just take pictures, and then that's where you start. Because even if you're nervous about it, you just got to start taking pictures, because that's how you get better, is practicing. You can't just sit there and be scared about how they're not going to be as good, because you just got to keep going. And never compare yourself to anybody else. I go on Instagram and look at all these other photographers, and I'm like, oh man, I'm not that good. How can I be that good? I really need to step it up. And I compare myself, and that's where I break my stuff down, is because I think my stuff's not good enough, but when it is, it's just very different to theirs. So it's just not about comparing yourself, just thinking about yourself as a completely unique photographer and starting from there.
How do you like when it comes to sort of iPhone photography, is there no like sort of disregard for people that take photos on their iPhone? Because I guess, like, for me, like, I would no stretch of the imagination call myself a photographer, but I just like go in the gym and take pictures of myself to post on Instagram, like stuff like that. Like, is there no sort of disregard for, like, the person who just takes pictures on their iPhone?
A lot of photographers I follow do actually do a lot of iPhone photography instead of using their normal cameras, because sometimes on the go you don't have your camera and you're like, oh, that's a mean shot, I need to get that.
Yeah.
So definitely not, because there's I think a lot of people, because a lot of people take pictures on their phones. Everybody does nowadays,
Yeah.
That's what everybody, your phone's got a camera, that's how you're going to take pictures. So I don't think anybody who takes pictures on their phone will call themselves a photographer, because they just wouldn't. People, when they think of photographer, they think of someone with this massive high-end camera that's just expensive and everything like that. So not really. I think it's very universal, because a lot of it, I started with taking pictures on my phone before I even got my really terrible camera. It's just where you start, and just not being too cocky about it. It's like, I'm an amazing photographer, and then they have a phone, but they could be that good. That's the sort of thing. It's just any camera can be that good.
How do you find the sort of when do you know when you need to sort of upgrade the equipment and get the good stuff? Because I knew for podcasts I didn't just I went and bought a $300 mic just because I believe that was sort of essential. But now that I look back, I could have even gone 20 episodes with just normal Apple headphones or just something cheap like that. When do you know when it is time to sort of invest your money?
I think when you're being really creative, but then you're at a block. It can either be your creative block where you've just lost all your creativity for the moment, or your gear is just not keeping up with your skill, which I'm not at that point yet. I don't think. I'd love a new camera. It would be great, obviously. But better cameras just make the job easier, and it makes you, in my opinion, a bit lazier, because you have this incredible camera that does these incredible shots, so you don't need to edit at all.
Yeah.
Whereas you have, where you have this really bad camera where you need to edit really well, and editing's an amazing skill to have, As a photographer, you can do some incredible things. But yeah, honestly, it's just it's taking a step back and thinking about, hey, am I still advancing with the camera that I have at the moment?
How because I know for myself, when I'm going and editing a podcast, for me, a lot of the time, the things that I really enjoy is actually just having the conversation and being on the podcast. But then editing is the thing where I'm a little bit sometimes I am I'm enjoying doing this just because I can just chill, listen to the podcast, and sort of edit out the bits where I do need to edit it. How do you find because you have to probably do a lot more editing than I do. I do probably for the time I spend on the podcast, maybe 120% of that I would spend editing. But how much time would you spend, the ratio of actually taking photos to editing, and how do you find it a drag, or do you find it exciting and still sort of a creative adventure?
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to edit at the end, because it's usually my photos are quite different, and I try to go to different spots with different models, so it's always quite a different experience. But it does sometimes seem like a bit of a grind, and it's I don't always enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I've got I've got presets that I use sometimes, and then off that I just edit them a little bit more, but it doesn't take me too long, to be honest, and that's what's nice. I can just get to them quite well, and then putting them out there is nice. So I kind of just think about that, because taking the pictures takes really depends on the shoot, a few hours to the whole day even, and editing can take a day, not even that, just a couple hours, so it's the same thing. It really just depends on the shoot. Sometimes photos don't even need editing, which is great. That's what I aim for, is to take pictures that don't need editing in the end. It just makes my life easier, and everything like that just makes me improve a whole lot more.
Yeah. Is there sort of when it comes to photography, is there aspects of it that you're scared of, or I sort of find it hard to approach?
Yeah, so my camera I use now has a manual focus, so basically I always have to have two hands, so I can't use selectors or anything, which helps the light balance and all that sort of thing. And then using that manual focus, sometimes half of my images that I take are out of focus, which is such a pain in the ass. I would really love a autofocus lens, but I can't afford that at the moment, so I just go with this manual focus lens. So that's really helped me, because I've approached a few photographers with my manual camera, and they're quite scared to use it just because it's so hard to focus on. Because you've got this low aperture, which is basically the depth of field that you can see, which what comes into focus. So I use a really low aperture, and so it makes it really hard to focus, because you have to get that tiny little focus on the person. So you kind of that makes it a bit harder for me and makes me back off a little bit. But everything else I'm really willing to try, honestly. Like, I love new ideas. I love to ask the models, like, if they have any ideas, because I love having them be a big part of it, just so they can have this, they can choose whatever, like, position or outfit or location that we go to.
Yeah. I definitely like when I look at something like this, like, for me it's like scary, like, or like I wouldn't know what to do, like, when you actually get into a shoot, because I know with podcasting, for me it just came naturally, like I just found it easy and just it didn't really sort of, there wasn't too many barriers for me. Do you find, like, was it hard to sort of, I guess, get your foot in the door and like start doing it?
Not really. So since I started with my friends, it was just that nice, like, we kind of would just, like, we would go to a beach or we'd just hang out, and then I'd just take photos while we were there, just because, like, we were all so relaxed and, like, we're friends, so it's just a nice relaxed atmosphere. And then since I did so many of those, when I did eventually get these models, it felt quite natural, just because like, I know what I'm about to do and what I'm doing already, just because I've had that relaxed atmosphere before. And the models are usually really cool people. They're really easy to talk to, and they just make the whole atmosphere relaxed, to be honest. So it's just like you, it's like, it's my place, it's my happy place, so it's like easy for me to be there and just be confident and all that sort of thing.
Like, because I know, because you said you're a vet nurse, right? Like, because
that's the one.
I wouldn't, like, that's not exactly a creative thing. Like, do you find going from that, which is like a very logical and like sort of safety science-based thing, to this, do you find this is like your heavy creative outlet, and then sort of having the sort of very diverse sort of, I guess, hobbies, activities, whatever you want to call them, like, do you find that helps you be more creative?
Yeah, definitely, because, like, I'm in that creative atmosphere anyway, but I think every day I aspire to be creative, because I'll be, like, in my car listening to music, and then the lyrics will give me inspiration, whatever. I love to paint also, so I'll just, like, sit down and then ideas will come to me. I'll start painting, anything like that. Even if I'm just driving around and I could see, like, a really cool spot, then that obviously helps my creativity. So I think it's, like, day in, day out, obviously I try to be as creative as I can, whatever the situation. And I'll just see a random picture on Facebook, whatever the case may be, and then they'll just give me inspiration for the next shoot or anything like that,
How do you go about being sort of creative? Because I know, like, especially when I was young, I thought, like, I thought I was the least creative person, like, ever, but now what I've more realized is it's all, like, sort of subjective. Like, I thought my quote-unquote creative ideas weren't good. Like, how do you know when to implement something that you think is creative?
I think, like, being creative, like, everybody is creative, and that's the beauty of it. Everyone is completely unique, and, like, a lot of people won't like your stuff, and then a lot of people will, because your style's completely you, it's your style. And so don't be afraid to step out there, because your style can be, like, incredible. It could be world changing even, and you have no idea. So it's just basically just stepping out there, showing people your stuff. You'll get a lot of negativity, but in my opinion, that's when you're going in the right direction, because people will, like, you're being successful and people don't like that. So definitely just, like, step out in that creativity, whatever it may be, painting, singing, whatever. Just step out there, because it's your own style. There's a lot of, like, art out there. Like, you see some art which is just like a white canvas, which is there's zero creativity in that. But then they sell for millions of dollars. It's just this thing of, like, what people see. And it's just, and you can portray such an incredible emotion through it. And everybody feels something different when looking at your creative stuff anyway. Like, it can mean one thing to you and then another to someone else, and that's the incredible thing. It's just stepping out, showing people your stuff, and just getting a response from it, and learning from that response, whether it's negative or positive.
How has it sort of defined your style as a photographer, and also, like, the clothes you wear, or, like, just the things, how you sort of define yourself?
So, like, I love to shoot fashion. That's, like, my main thing. I try to do it as like much as I can, but it's quite hard, obviously, because I'm not too well known at the moment. But it's like, I'd love to dress really cool, but I do get a couple clothes from the shoots that I do, but it's more about, like, it just really, like, gives me ideas and pushes me more through the things that I do,
Yeah.
which is really incredible. Just like talking to these people and getting inspiration from them. But yeah, and mental health has been quite a big part of my life, and so I think that's really defined a lot of my creativity that I do, is just really implementing that into it. So yeah, that's I think that's the biggest part of my creativity.
How do you sort of like implement that into it?
So like my captions are quite like intense, I guess some people would say. It's like what I'm feeling at the time. It's just me, like, and I'm not afraid to put it out there because like it's what I really enjoy. It's like me expressing my true self, you know. And I'm like, I get a lot of negativity from it, but it's just me betraying myself, and I'm not gonna be someone else from that, you know.
How do you like when going about and being yourself, like no questions asked and no like you don't hold anything back? How do you find that sort of influences you?
So a lot of the time, like, people will, like, in this industry, people will like push you to do other things. They're like, oh, hey, you know, your work's a bit weird here, why don't you try this instead? And like definitely like go on that, like definitely work with that, but don't change yourself completely just because somebody else said so. Like, you've got your own specific style. Make sure you always keep that in mind. Like I get it, like with a lot of shoots, people are like, oh, no, do this instead, and I'll try it, but if it's not me, I'll be like, oh, no thanks, you know. And I'll get a lot of negativity, just people telling me I'm wrong or whatever, but I won't let it like push me around, because I've got my own style. It's me, you know. I know I'm doing the right thing, you know. I'm just doing what I love. There's nothing wrong with it. So it's just not letting people shift your creativity, not letting them stop you from being you and creating your own style.
Because I definitely find, like, ever since I've started this, I've sort of realized what my style is, and like I've sort of like, I used to care a lot about like judgment and about what people thought about me, but now like the more I do it and the more I sort of put myself out there and put my thoughts out there for anyone to critique or like hate on, like it just sort of improves sort of my mindset and my confidence a lot.
Definitely. For me, it's I love to prove people wrong. You know, if it's something like, if they're telling me like this is bad or something, it's like, well, you know, I'll just push myself way harder just to like prove that I'm better than that, you know. And I'm not going to be cocky about it. It's just about proving that person wrong, you know. Like, if somebody says you can't do something or doesn't believe in you, then prove them wrong, you know.
Exactly. It's like, I've definitely found like the people that like at first were like, haha, this is so stupid, now it's like, I find, like, I don't know if you find this the same, because I feel like some of your work, it's like, with me, it's like, I don't think people like tell me the negative comments, they just think them. Do people tell you the negative comments?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like, I mean, just recently, I had a bit of drama with, like, it's just my captions, which isn't, like, it's such a stupid thing. It's like, you can look at my photos and you don't need to look at my captions, you know. It's like, just look at my photo and then that's it, just move on, you know. But then people have to speak out, which is like, I don't know why you have to, you know. You really don't have to say these negative things, but a lot of people do, you know. They'll come to me and they'll be like, why are you so intense? Or like, why do you say this sort of thing? Or like, you know, just think I'm such a weird person for doing it. But it's just me, you know, and I don't have to change that for anyone because I enjoy it. I'm happy doing it, you know. So it's just not letting people, like I said before, just not letting people push you around. In all honesty. And
sort of like not let people, I guess, like try and have what their style is or whatever they think is their favorite creative outlet. Like, I think, like, because the kind of people that tell me to do things a certain way, they're the kind of people that don't really have their creative outlet. And I think there's definitely a ton of value in sort of getting that creative outlet for yourself, because like for myself, ever since I've started this, it's like, as I said before, it's sort of helped me realize, sort of, I guess, in a very cheesy way, who I am and who I want to be, and like sort of my goals and like sort of my, like, I guess, values as well.
Yeah, definitely, because you standing up for yourself really builds you as a character, and like, a lot of people just get jealous of you being successful or having that like beautiful creativity. They'll just be like, oh, that's amazing, like, why can't I be like that? So they'll just speak out and they'll just try and like break you down, because that's just the person they are, which is like, that sucks, honestly. But it's just about continuing to be yourself and not changing for anybody, you know. Like, I've worked a lot of times with other photographers. We'll get like 1 or 2 models, and then we'll have like 3 photographers, and then we'll all just do the shoot, and at the end we'll all compare our photos, just to like, because we just build off each other, and we don't do it in a negative way, like, hey, your colors are really bad in this. We'll just be like, hey, like, this is really cool, like, and we'll compare it to the other person's photo, and we'll do it in a positive way that builds each other up, and we get to learn from it too, you know.
Yeah.
We get to learn from each other's creativity.
Yeah.
In a positive way that doesn't break us down or like think we're less than the other person, you know.
And sort of like just sort of take inspiration without sort of doing it in a way that will, you know, encourage copying. Like the sort of learning from people that are on a similar journey and sort of learning from people that want to achieve similar things.
Yeah, so it's like definitely like just find inspiration, but never copy. Like it's about like looking at the person's, hey, that's cool, and then just going from there. Just like, because I'll save a lot of photos on Instagram and then look back at them just before my shoots. But most of the time I'll completely forget about it and then just integrate my own style into the shoot.
Yeah.
So it's just about finding your own style and never like going back to old photos and looking at them, comparing it. Just never compare. Always just start afresh each shoot or each project, just to have that fresh mindset, and it helps you build, you know, and find new ideas through that.
I'll probably just finish off here. I'll ask you one last question. What would your advice be to someone who wants to start a creative venture? What would you say to them if they were thinking, or they had a little itch and thinking, oh, maybe I should start this little creative thing, or maybe, oh, I have this idea, but I don't know where to start? What would you say to them?
Just start, honestly. Like it's those negative thoughts and that trying to hold back will just be the death of your creativity, to be honest. Like you need to just start whatever gear you have, you know, whatever, even just ask friends or your parents, whatever, family, for money if you need it for this particular project, you know. But just honestly just start, because that's what you need to do is always holding back and thinking about those negative comments will just, you'll never get started on these projects, you know. You'll go 30 years and be like, hey, I wish I started that then, because I'll be so far right now, you know. So it's just about starting whatever gear, whatever things you have, you just start.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Because if I started now, like, I would have not made the progress I've made in whatever time I've been doing this. It's like, I find the longer I keep going, I'm progressing faster than I thought it would happen, or faster than I thought it would progress, and like I'm learning different things I didn't think would even be a factor, which is quite like, it's quite strange to sort of see all the things all the benefits that I didn't realize at the start.
Yeah, because you only get better as you go, you know. The more time you have, the better you're going to get, you know.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know it was a pretty average sized episode. I think it was a pretty like relaxed conversation. We didn't really focus too much on the how or the sort of how to do stuff, because like we both haven't been doing this kind of stuff, our creative adventures, for that long, and we're just sort of discussing how creativity blooms and how photography works. So I hope you guys did enjoy that. I would love if you would check Jayden out. His links are in the show notes. Check out his Instagram, see some of the work that he's done. Some of the stuff he's done is absolutely amazing, and I think it's really, really good, especially for the amount of experience that he has. He hasn't been doing this for that long, but he's still got some really great photos on there. I would also love if you would check out my social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all that kind of stuff. That would be great. Also, if you like the podcast, I'd love you subscribe. There's more episodes like this. If you liked this one, I'd also recommend episode number 12 and episode number 2 with Declan Short, and episode number 12 with Jesse Driftwood. That was a really good one. I'd also love if you would rate and review the podcast. So thank you guys very much for listening, and have a good day.